across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
There you are. Good evening and welcome to the Political Asylum right here on Talk. I'm your host, Kevin O'Sullivan, and I'll be with you all the way to 10 o'clock. Stand by for 3 thrilling hours of news, views, debate, fun and fury. Get involved, get on the phone and call me on 03444991000, or you can send me a WhatsApp voice note on the same number and I promise to play your message out. It is Monday, October the 20th. Here's what's coming up. Yes, there's Prince Andrew, of course, Andrew, I should say, who should no longer be allowed to call himself Prince, and whose other titles should be officially removed from him by an Act of Parliament. Why does King Charles really not want the issue of his revolting liar of a brother to go through the House of Commons? Is it because, as he says, he's reluctant to bother MPs with the disgusting doings of a vile and venile man? Or is it because he doesn't want the royal family's reputation to be dragged through the parliamentary mud? You decide. Fact is that unless there's an Act of Parliament, that oaf Andrew, the paedophile's firm friend, continues to officially hold the Duke of York title. Let's take it off him. Show him the meaning of accountability. Make him pay a price for what he's done. It'll send a great message to the people of this country that you reap what you sow. If you behave badly, there should be consequences. And by letting Andrew off, I just said, oh, well, if you could just sort of maybe not use the title anymore, then by letting him off, then we sort of say goodbye to the principle of accountability. I think he should pay the price. I think it should be debated in Parliament, and I think we should pass an official Act of Parliament to strip him of all his titles. He's got 3. What do you think? 03444991000. I'm just saying this isn't enough. This isn't enough. It really isn't. But never mind, Andrew. There are far more important issues than the fate of a lowlife who happens to be the late Queen's son. And all around the country, parents are increasingly worried about the close proximity of asylum seekers' hotels to their kids' schools. Last week, this show, The Political Asylum, broke the story of the Cherry Lane and Primary School to the west of London near Heathrow Airport. On Saturday, mums and dads of some of the 643 to 11-year-old pupils staged a passionate protest over the daily invasion of migrants who take the underground walkway beneath the M4 motorway and hang around outside the school. Some of them smoking sheesh pipes, leering through the playground fences. It's a spectacle that the parents have had enough of. The mums and dads are sick of it. My producer turned ace roving reporter, Samara Gill, went to the demonstration at the weekend and spoke to parents, some of whom told of how their kids are scared to go to school. No one's suggesting that these migrant men of military age are or have been committing crimes. But when children are terrified and parents are beside themselves with worry, surely something should be done. Isn't this scene that I'm depicting every day outside this school? Hundreds sometimes of migrants just hanging around, smoking sheesh pipes. Parents talking about them leering through the fence at the playground. Isn't this just all wrong? 03444991000. Also tonight, the Labour Council that has forced the Remembrance Sunday group to abandon their annual poppy tribute to their town's fallen heroes. And tonight's big question, why is Peter Mandelson still picking up his 6-figure salary for his ex-crucial role as Britain's ambassador to Washington? Why is his lordship, another pal of convicted pedo Jeffrey Epstein, still on the Foreign Office's payroll to the tune of £174,000 a year? When he was appointed to the American role, scandal specialist Mandy, he's always in trouble, apparently signed a 4-year contract. And now, because he refused to resign, forcing Starmer to fire him, the disgraced Labour veteran is in for a substantial payoff. There goes yet more taxpayers' money straight down the drain, lining the pocket of a guy whose extremely unwise relationship with Epstein has landed him in a world of trouble, a bit like a certain former Duke of York. And finally tonight, over to Los Angeles for all the latest royal news with Kinsey Schofield. All that and so much more, so don't go anywhere. Stick with me right here, right now on Talk, the home of free speech and common sense. Let's spend Monday night together. By the way, get on the phone. Let me know what you think about this. I was shocked to see this. You know, Mandelson, Lord Peter Mandelson, a man who's rarely out of some sort of scandal. He's always in some kind of problems. They were unwisely given this job, ambassador to Washington, very important, our most crucial diplomatic role. And he gets sacked because he refused to resign. And apparently, what are we on? What is it now? 3 weeks, 4 weeks since he lost his job? He's still on the payroll, £174,000 a year. Apparently in line for a huge payoff because he wasn't actually, he didn't actually resign. He was sacked, so they have to compensate him. But as things stand, he's earning his full American ambassador's salary, £174,000 a year. That's us. That's our money. This is nonsense. This has got to stop, hasn't it? 0344 499 1000. But first, let's go over to our first guest for the first 60 sizzling minutes of tonight's show. She is, of course, Talk's excellent international editor, Isabel Oakeshott. Welcome, Isabel.
Oh, good evening. Well, that Peter Mandelson story, it's all a bit kind of parallels with Hugh Edwards, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know,
It's just...
get fired or leave in disgrace and carry on being paid vast sums of money. What?
I know. Well, it's like, you know, we only learned, was it this time last week, was it, that Angela Rayner has still got her ministerial car. I'm not actually denying her the right to have protection, taxpayer-funded protection. She's a prominent politician. She deserves security just as, for example, Nigel Farage does. That's the way of the world. But quite why we, the taxpayer, are funding her ministerial BMW, why she's still got that, I don't know. It's this kind of sort of lackadaisical approach to taxpayers' money. This government in particular, Labour, they just splash it out as if it doesn't matter. Well, it's our money, and I think we deserve an explanation as to why Peter Mandelson is still picking up his 174 grand a year. It's ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. But if you don't mind first, Isabel, my producer, stroke ace reporter, Samara Gill, to her immense credit, on Saturday, went down to this school that's called the Cherry Lane Primary School. It's to the west of London, an area called West Drayton. It's kind of quite near Heathrow Airport. If you've ever driven up and down the M4, there's this huge Holiday Inn to the left of it if you're going west. It's massive. Everybody can picture it. Yeah. There's more than 600 rooms there. Many of them, not all of them apparently, but nearly all of them are occupied by asylum seekers, young men of military age, as we like to say. Well, what they do every day, many of them, hundreds of them sometimes, is they go underneath this walkway, underneath the M4, and that sort of comes out almost next to Cherry Lane Primary School, and there's a lot of green areas and park benches around the school, and they just plonk themselves down, and we got all this video of many of them walking down the streets escorted by special police officers, those special constabulary coppers, and you know, a couple of them actually sitting there smoking a sheesh pipe. We spoke to a parent, a mum, on Friday night. She's saying that she had 3 kids at this school and they're terrified to go to school because she's seen them, and so have other parents reported, that these migrants, some of them, not all of them, let's be fair, you know, they're leering through holes in the fence. They're looking at the kids in the playground. The parents are extremely worried about this. It mirrors what we've been seeing in Epping with the Bell Hotel. The main worry of most of the parents there was that the Bell Hotel has a close proximity to local schools. This is the film that we were sent by parents. These are all the migrants walking down the street. Look how many of them. Police escort. They're making their way to the recreational area around the school, being escorted by coppers here. Now, this is them and a couple of them hanging around in the gardens of the school. You're about now to see, there's one migrant. This is the bit that will, well, shall we say, it's eye-catching. Look at them. That's outside the school. They're sitting there smoking a sheesh pipe. So the point is, what I've got to stress is none of these, there've been no crimes committed here. No one is saying that these people, these migrants, are intent on committing crimes, have committed crimes, or will commit crimes. But the parents say that their kids are very intimidated by this. They're very worried. Some kids too scared to go to school. The parents are beside themselves with concern and worry about this, to the extent that they had this big demonstration on Saturday to protest about it. The school doesn't seem to respond at all. We've sent several messages to the school. We've heard pretty much nothing back. You know, and this is a situation that I think, well, I know, is going on all over the country. And that the proximity, the close proximity of asylum seeker hotels to schools, particularly primary schools, these kids, 640 kids there, aged 3 to 11 years old, really young kids. The proximity of asylum seeker hotels to schools like Cherry Lane Primary School, I think is causing great concern among many mums and dads. And I think we're going to hear a lot more of this going forward.
Well, it's hard to know quite where to begin with that footage. I mean, it's very decent of us not to show the faces of these people. There's nothing that prevents anyone taking pictures of anyone on public property, which those individuals were. We're just being very responsible broadcasters, not trying to bring any kind of vigilante behaviour on these individuals. And as you say, you know, what we've shown there is no crime. But what it is a whole use of police time and resources. You've got a police escort for a bunch of illegal immigrants to move from their hotel to go and hang out in a park en masse. I find that a bit unsettling in itself. You know, that links to, you know, how much freedom should illegal immigrants be given. My own view, and I think a lot of our listeners agree with this, is that actually they should be in detention centres. That's how they do it in other countries. You don't get to roam around, and you certainly don't get a police escort if you fancy a little walk in the park, or you fancy smoking some shisha on a park bench. Again, it's not illegal. You'll see it all up and down the Edgware Road in London and many other places besides, but it's not necessarily what we want in our public parks or just next to children's schools. And I think what parents are just very unsettled by and find very concerning is large groups of young men just hanging around, you know, very purposelessly. They've got nothing to do. They're whiling away the hours. And we all know the old expression, the devil makes work for idle hands. And if I had a child at that school, I too would be pretty uncomfortable about it. You know, we want our children to be able to walk home from school. We don't want them to have to run the gauntlet of mobs or even quiet groupings of young men from very different cultures who have just arrived and don't necessarily know what the norms are in our country. And we know that that is a problem because it keeps coming up in court cases.
And there's this sort of suspicion. We don't exactly know why the school has pretty much maintained a wall of silence, not just to us, but to parents who have complained and asked for something to be done. We don't quite know why they're maintaining this wall of silence, but the parents were saying, well, can you at least repair this fence around the playground where we see these guys leering through the playground at the little kids? They eventually got back a message from the school along the lines of, oh yes, well, we put out to tender, we're trying to find a contractor to come and do it, etc., etc. So one dad who we spoke to last week, James Timms was his name, his daughter no longer goes to that school but used to. He just went there and fixed it himself.
Yeah, come on.
So it's this sort of lack of response to the genuine concerns and fears of parents from this school, and I don't think this is the only school that's behaving like this, that I think is really worrying. You know, don't ignore these people. They've got a point that, you know, up in Epping, when the parents, particularly the Pink Ladies and all that, started protesting, all the liberality and the Guardianistas start saying they're racists. They're just racists and fascists and Nazis. That's who these protesters are. Well, guess what? They were protesting about an alleged sexual assault, two sexual assaults by a resident in the Asylum Seeker Hotel. Racist! Rubbish! This is racism. That asylum seeker has now gone to jail for a year for sexually assaulting two women. It was actually a 14-year-old girl, which brings us back to the issue of proximity to schools. And then a poor local lady went to her assistance, tried to help her get out of the clutches of this awful man who was groping her. And the guy turned his attention on her and sexually assaulted her as well. So my point is, while the Guardianistas are all going, these people, these Essex people, they're just racist and fascist. No, they were right. They were absolutely right. And as I say, I've got to stress, there haven't been any crimes outside Cherry Lane Primary School. But you can understand why the parents are worried every day. Loads of them hanging around outside the school gates. And I think the school should talk to the parents, don't you?
I absolutely do. And there are schools that have circulated letters among parents, you know, acknowledging concerns. And, you know, what I would say about those Guardianistas is this is on them. You know, their absolute dogged refusal to contemplate that there might be something a lot bigger and darker going on here when it comes to people of criminal intent or criminal background, or people who are basically indebted to people smugglers and then have to come to our country. Once they get to our country, have to behave in certain ways in order to pay back their handlers. These Guardianista lefties have no idea what is actually going on here. They simply refuse to imagine that this is anything other than a lot of very good-hearted, decent, destitute people seeking a new life. And of course, there are some of those, without a doubt, there are some of those. But I'm afraid the type of people coming over are a hell of a mix. And not all of those people are people who have our best interests as UK nationals and young families and women at heart.
Absolutely. And just a footnote for you folks, get your notepads out, a little bit of facts for you. 369 small boat foreigners crossed the Channel illegally on Saturday. And that takes the score this year to a phenomenal 36,734, which I believe is more than the entire total who crossed the Channel last year. So Keir Starmer's tally is escalating rapidly and alarmingly. So that's 36,734 in illegally. But fair play, the one in, one out scheme, 42 have been returned to France under that scheme. That's really impressive, isn't it? Again, we've got to move on, Isabel, but briefly, can you see any point whatsoever in this extremely expensive, in my view, utter waste of time and money that is the one in, one out scheme?
I've never been able to see any point to it. I've always thought it was absolutely ridiculous. Anything that actually you kind of can't keep a straight face as you try to explain it to other people, it's not a policy that any government should be promoting.
It's absolutely right. It's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous and it's expensive.
Yeah.
We learned on Friday, by the way, did you read the story about how, we must move on, but I've got to get this in, how many Home Office civil servants are running the one in, one out scheme?
Well, it'll be a lot more than have left.
No, I'll tell you, it's 12. There are 12 civil servants running this scheme.
Oh,
it's
honestly,
just, it's farcical, Isabel. It's totally farcical. Let's go to break. When we come back, I want to talk about these MPs who've been campaigning to ban Jews from Aston Villa. Who are these people? Are they really just worried about football violence, football hooliganism, or are there other things on their mind? You know, I don't know. Anti-Semitic things, hating Israel. Is that really, is that what the sort of thing they're probably more worried about? I think it probably is. We'll talk about that next. Stay tuned.
There is an organisation called the Centre for Media Monitoring, which grew out of the Muslim Council of Britain, and it is there supposedly to monitor the media and to identify examples of alleged Islamophobia in reporting. And they've claimed things like the news reports that Salman Abedi, who attacked the Manchester Arena, chanted Islamic slogans before detonating his device, that those reports were Islamophobic for saying that.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. I'm still with Talk's international editor, Isabel Oakeshott. Isabel, I want to try to get to the bottom of exactly what's been going on in Birmingham. So we have the MP for Perry Barr, which encompasses Villa Park. His name is Ayub Khan, who waged a furious, a passionate campaign to keep these Israeli fans of Maccabi Tel Aviv out of Birmingham, and indeed successfully persuaded the local authorities to ban them. Then we have another preacher, a guy called Asrar Rashid, a Birmingham preacher, who said that if they do come to Birmingham, no mercy must be shown to the Tel Aviv fans. Well, first of all, we'll play some of this in just a second. But so this guy Ayub Khan got together this petition, which has succeeded in persuading the West Midland Police and the Birmingham Council Safety Advisory Board, whatever the hell that is, has persuaded them that these fans can't be allowed to come to Villa Park on November the 6th, where Aston Villa play Maccabi Tel Aviv in the Europa League. Now, So Ayub Khan's on the top of that petition. I mean, I've got my suspicions about what his motivations are. I'm sure you do too. But in fairness, he's a local MP. He can actually hide behind saying, I'm worried about the potential for football violence, for hooliganism in my constituency. Now, the other name on the top of that petition, I'd like to ask you why you think it's there. It is the independent MP for Islington North, Jeremy Corbyn, who, to the best of my knowledge, throughout his extremely lengthy career, has never once mentioned football hooliganism ever. What the hell is his name doing at the top of that petition?
Well, the other thing I'd like to see is who are all the people that have signed this petition. But unless you've got updated information for me, Kev, I spent a good deal of time on Friday trying to look for the names on the petition, and unusually, they're not actually published. I thought it would have been very revealing to see what kind of surnames, what kind of Christian names, or probably not very Christian names that we saw on that list. It would have told us a little bit about the demographic and the type of people that have been whipping up this campaign. As you say, it's not unreasonable, entirely, in fact, logical to anticipate, and it's probably right to anticipate that there could be some trouble if that match were to go ahead without any contingency plans. But this is the actual job of the police. And I was talking to Jeremy Kyle about this earlier today and pointing out that the Notting Hill Carnival doesn't get cancelled on the basis that there's trouble. There's always, multiple arrests at the Notting Hill Carnival and an actual track record of people being stabbed every year, pretty much. So why is that never cancelled on set?
Well, there's an even closer analogy you can make in terms of football. I mean, every weekend in the Premier League and the other leagues as well, there are matches that are definitely prone towards football violence. If you have Man United playing Man City, or Man United playing Liverpool, or Chelsea playing Arsenal, these are very tense situations. The police are used to dealing with it. You can't say, well, Arsenal are playing Chelsea at the Emirates this afternoon, but we've banned all Chelsea fans from coming. Now, what we're talking about here, the reason West Midland Police are so egregiously wrong, and I can't help wondering what their decision would have been if the away visiting fans were fans of Palestine United or Gaza Albion or something. I suspect the choice would have been different, but they misconstrue their job. So they say, can't guarantee people's safety on the streets. Well, get enough coppers to do that, because something is more important than safety on the streets here. It's the principle of freedom, of the right of these Israeli fans to pursue their human right to come and watch their football team play. And let's face it, they're getting banned because they're Jews, and the West Midland Police need to enshrine these Jewish fans' right to go and watch their team. Otherwise, this is state-sponsored anti-Semitism. This is an anti-Semitic decision, I believe, which is why the government's desperately trying to overturn it. I don't often wish this government well, but I do wish them well in this endeavour.
Well, I'm actually really surprised that this hasn't been overturned already. I mean, when you've been around politics for as long as I have, reporting on, the intersection of the media and the political ruling classes, you get a pretty good feel for when something's going to be a U-turn. And I was basically sure on Friday that the government would absolutely do whatever it took to make this to turn over this decision, to get it reversed. When you've got the Prime Minister himself wading in, you've got a number of very senior and prominent figures wading in saying this is a wrong decision, you usually expect something to be reversed pretty quickly. And yet here we are, and it still stands. And the longer it still stands, the more that I do worry. I mean, I still think there's going to be some kind of compromise or fudge. But in a sense, the damage is already done. The damage to the Jewish community. And isn't this the most appalling kind of vote of no confidence by West Midlands Police in their own ability to do the job?
Yeah, do your job. Do your job. Your job is to protect these fans' rights to go and see their football team. You can't turn around and say, well, they're Jewish and, there's always a lot of trouble everywhere they go. That is, to an extent, true. Not necessarily fair to blame the Maccabi Tel Aviv fans. There's a lot of talk last year when they went to Amsterdam. Oh, look at the trouble they caused. They get set upon. They get set upon by pro-Palestine fanatics. That's what happens. That's what West Midland Police are worried about in Aston, in the Aston Villa match. But I'm afraid this is where the police come into play, to protect and enshrine basic human rights. You can't turn around to Jewish fans and say, well, because you're Jewish, I'm afraid it's all a bit much for us, so you can't come. That is nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. Just going to play a few clips to try to set the tone for the picture I'm trying to paint. I don't trust all of these people talking about their fears for football hooliganism. I don't know where Jeremy Corbyn suddenly cropped up. Could it be that old guy never misses a chance to come down on the Jews? He's always there when anti-Semitism is happening, isn't he? Well, listen, this is Ayub Khan, the MP for Perry Barr, the local MP. We'll just play. This is him celebrating the success of his campaign to ban Israelis from attending the match.
Well, excellent news for the people of Birmingham and, most importantly, the residents here in Aston. I launched a petition to oppose the Maccabi Tel Aviv fans from coming to Birmingham and then into the Aston Villa Stadium. The surrounding ward of Aston is a ward that sits within my constituency, and I had many residents and businesses express concern of the Maccabi Tel Aviv fans from coming into our area. Clearly, we have all witnessed the scenes in Amsterdam, the violence that was displayed by the fans the night before the match. We all watched and listened to those vile chants of hatred and racism, and so there's no space for that kind of behaviour here in Birmingham. There's certainly no space for that kind of conduct in Aston. So I'm very pleased that both the West Midlands Police and Aston Villa Football Club have now written to UEFA informing them of their decision not to allow any fans from entering Birmingham and Aston.
A little bit of casual demonisation of those Israeli football fans there by Mr. Khan. Really? Is that right? Is that what it is? Look, the trouble does travel with these fans, but it's because of pro-Palestine hooliganism. Everywhere they go, they get attacked. And I think they often stand up for themselves. But I don't trust what's going on in Birmingham here. This isn't a football fan issue. It really isn't. This is a Birmingham preacher, a mosque preacher. He was in Amsterdam a couple of weeks ago. This is Asra Rashid saying no mercy to the Maccabi Tel Aviv fans.
We safeguard the vulnerable from any type of exploitation. That is the character of a Muslim, or has a Muslim as a rahmah. Remember, rahmah is in its place. It's in its place. When the Tel Aviv fans come to Birmingham in a few weeks, we will not show them rahmah in Birmingham.
I think that means that they will not show them mercy. Thank you, Mr. Rashid. And finally, here's Jeremy Corbyn from a while ago on Hamas bringing peace to the Middle East.
And the idea that an organisation that is dedicated towards the good of the Palestinian people and bringing about long-term peace and social justice and political justice in the whole region should be labelled as a terrorist organisation by the British government is really a big historical mistake.
Yeah, and Jeremy, your entire life has been a big historical mistake. But what I'm saying here, Isabel, we've got to move on, but I smell the aroma of Jew hatred here, of anti-Semitism, all this stuff about, football violence, the businesses and locally they say we're so worried about it, it's so great that we've banned them. There's something else at play here, isn't there?
think we all know exactly what's at play here. And, you know, what's happened to Birmingham, our so-called second city, is quite extraordinary. I mean, Birmingham is now, ethnic minorities are now the majority in Birmingham by a small but significant margin. And, you know, that community, well, I'm not sure there is a community as such. I mean, much of Birmingham, as Robert Jenrick was pointing out, pockets of Birmingham at any rate, are pretty unrecognisable as British. And that brings seismic cultural change and, I'm afraid, a lot of division. And as a result, what's happening is that many people, not of course all the good people of Birmingham, but there is a small but significant minority in Birmingham who seem to consider the impending arrival of these fans as if it's some kind of invasion of the enemy. And that is how they've approached it politically.
Yeah, and let me ask, give us a call on that, folks. Let me know what you think. I smell the vile aroma of anti-Semitism hanging over Birmingham with this decision. As I say, if it was Gaza Albion or Palestine United or something playing at Aston Villa, I suspect the game would go on, no problem at all. You'll notice we have a Muslim preacher there, Asrar Rashid. We have the local Muslim MP, Ayub Khan. There's another guy, one of these MPs. He's actually the MP for Blackburn and also Gaza. He's one of these independent Gaza MPs. His name's Adnan Hussein. He said, Israel is monstrous. This was his exact words. And those who disagree with him, he said, those who disagree, who say, I don't think Israel is monstrous, he says, Mr. Hussein says, that means we do not see Muslims as human. This is rancid stuff, isn't it? This is whipping up division. And I'm not sure who Mr. Hussein thinks he's representing, but I'm not sure that the people of Blackburn are quite so energised about hating Israel as he seems to be.
Well, I mean, this is a city that has another MP, Tahir Ali, who publicly campaigned for a new airport in Pakistan, using his platform as a parliamentarian of our country, publicly campaigning for extra airports in Pakistan to make the commute a little bit easier for his constituents. And that is how far gone, I suppose, Birmingham is. You know, it is not recognisable from what it was even 20 years ago. In a generation, it has completely changed. And it's worth pointing out that the demographic figures for Birmingham, which show ethnic minorities now the majority, date back to 2021. We've had wave after wave after wave of immigration since then. I suspect the next census will show an even starker picture.
And Handsworth, the area of Birmingham that Robert Jenrick visited and said in an hour and a half he didn't see another single white face. The demographics there are 96% of the local population are Muslim, Islamic. Only 4% are not. So, you know, make of that what you will. We'd better go to break, Isabel. When we come back, we want to talk about the very sad cancellation of a Poppy Day memorial. That next. Stay tuned.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Still with Talk's international editor Isabel Oakeshott. Isabel, this is a sad story of our times, if you ask me. This is the local council in Hoyland. It's an area of Barnsley up there in South Yorkshire. They have the organisers of an annual Remembrance Day Poppy Day tradition that they have every Remembrance Sundays. What they do is they take 396 poppies and they put them around on the local lampposts, so that every single one of the town's fallen heroes is named on these poppy decorations on the lampposts. Well, this year, because Hoyland has joined so many councils in bizarrely deciding that anything on a lamppost or anywhere near a traffic sign must not be allowed, so they've used that technique to ban the hanging of Union Jacks and St George cross flags, the Raising the Colours campaign. So they banned them, and they've had to say, well, since we've banned them, we have to ban the poppy displays as well. So now 396 fallen heroes in this town, each with poppies bearing their names. An annual tradition for this town's Armistice Day parade will now not happen. The members of the Hoyland Remembrance Parade Group say there's just not enough spaces for them to put all the poppies up. It wouldn't be fair of them to just some of the names, so they've had to abandon this patriotic annual tradition. How sad is that?
How absolutely pathetic, and how lacking in principle. There ought to be some things that are just unmovable. Whatever the perceived challenges, these sorts of gestures are so important in communities. I'm thinking of my own village in the Cotswolds, where every year there's the most amazing effort made to make these commemorations, and local people knit these beautiful kind of crocheted red poppies, and they're strung all along the railings, and these are public railings, and there's a huge effort in the churchyard as well. And I feel that stuff is very binding for communities, and you really lose something from the heart of things if the authorities are saying, actually, you know what, we're just going to rip that bit out of your annual tradition because it might cause some trouble. It's something so much bigger than just that day and that occasion and those names that are on the poppies. It's something about history and tradition and things that the whole community can share. And if they don't like it, they don't need to be looking at it or, being very actively participant in it. But in a sense, this is just hollowing out who we are. And it's quite a subtle thing as well as being a very simple thing. What is being eroded here over and over again, this erosion of our culture. And it's awful for people. I feel particularly for elderly people who pin a lot, I think, and understandably so, on these types of occasions in the calendar, and suddenly it's just being kind of just erased.
Yeah. I just think this council, I don't care what the decision they've taken about flags. It strikes me that's wrong as well. It's just ridiculous. Oh, we can't have a flag anywhere near a road sign. Really? But that seems to be the decision lots of local authorities are taking. But I think what this council, Hoyland Council, should say is, well, never mind the flags. Of course you can put your poppies up. Of course you can. But no, they won't have that. Sort of computer says no kind of syndrome, isn't it? But very, very sad and very, very wrong, I would say. Let me know what you think, folks. 0344 499 1000. When we come back, Isabel, I'm afraid that time has come. We are going to have to talk about the former Duke of York, Mr. Andrew Windsor. I don't think he should be allowed to be called Prince anymore as well. I want a hard line action on this. We'll talk about this after the break.
I know that newspaper editors have safes full of stuff on him and on Sarah Ferguson. They put money and their pleasure above anything and anyone else, and we're quite happy to agree it. Sarah Ferguson, hello, I know you're convicted of trafficking girls who are about the same age as my daughter, but could I borrow some money off you? Could you give me some money? They've never met a billionaire they didn't like. Yep. Doesn't matter how dodgy they are. I've just got no time for these people.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. I'm still with Isabel Oakeshott, Talk's international editor. Isabel, the Prince Andrew, he's still allowed to call himself that, is a proven liar. He lied. He said to Emily Maitlis, I've cut off all contact with Jeffrey Epstein. We found out last weekend that was a terrible lie. He was still saying to Jeff, keep in close contact, we'll play again soon, so on and so forth. So he's a liar. So whether or not people choose to believe his denials that he sexually abused and defiled 17-year-old Virginia Roberts, as she was then, on 3 different continents. Whether or not people choose to believe that, that is their affair. For me, I, for one, don't believe him. Why else would he have given that poor young woman for £12 million, $15 million, not to go to court, civil court in America. That poor woman at the age of 41 went on to kill herself. You've got to think about that. She committed suicide. Her life ruined by powerful men like Epstein and, frankly, like Prince Andrew. Although he says, despite a picture of him with his arm around her, he's never met her. Really, really. If you believe that, I've got some swampland to sell you in Florida. Now, let's move on, though. He's agreed to give up his Duke of York title. His other titles are the Earl of Inverness, and also he's something called Baron Killalea in Northern Ireland as well. He's had to give up all those titles. The thing is, though, he hasn't really. He's just had to say, I won't use them anymore. He still is officially the Duke of York. The King says he doesn't. We can only get rid of that title, those titles, by an Act of Parliament. The King says, oh, I don't want to waste Parliament's time. You know, it's, I kind of get that, but I think it's actually important. I think it's important that we do this. This will be an act of the people to tell these royals, you actually do what we say. You adhere to the behaviour and the morality that we demand of you, that we request of you. Otherwise, we will make you accountable. So I think this Act of Parliament that the King says, oh, I don't want to bother Parliament with that. I think it should go through so that the royal family, Prince Andrew, understands the meaning of the word accountability. You reap what you sow. And the people across the country get a concept that if you do bad things, you will pay the price. Accountability. By saying, oh, let's not bother, just get him to agree not to call himself that anymore, doesn't mean to say he isn't the Duke of York. I think we should do it. I really do think it should go through Parliament.
Yes, it's a sort of funny debate, this one. I mean, I would like to know how quick that would be, that process, and whether there really would have to be endless debate. I mean, perhaps it could be done in no time at all. I mean, which parliamentarian is going to stick up for Prince Andrew? You know, it's not going to be a good look, is it? So I suspect that the debate would be pretty speedy, and this is just about primarily about resources on, I don't know, drafting the relevant legislation that would be required. I do feel incredibly sorry for the King on this one. You know, I'm not any kind of strident monarchist, but, you know, this is a guy that has waited all this time to take over from his beloved mother, and then he's struck down. He's really not very well. He's bravely pushing on, doing as much public service as he can, and he's just got this endless kind of millstone round his neck. In fact, two of them. One is the Prince Andrew thing, and the other is his youngest son.
Harry as well is a problem as well.
All he wants to be able to do is just kind of crack on with the job and try to keep as well as he can. And instead, he's just endlessly dealing with Duke of York related scandal.
Well, we learned over the weekend, Isabel, that characteristically, Prince Andrew apparently dug his heels in and wouldn't resign, wouldn't give these positions up until the King said, well, if you don't do it, I'll take it to Parliament. Yeah. So he finally reluctantly did fall on his sword, as they say. But I think I think it should go further. I mean, I think there's a lot of MPs saying, well, why is this guy still allowed to call himself Prince? They say, oh, well, it's because he's the mother. Never mind that. Never mind that. To be called Prince Andrew is to be given a name of respect. Prince Andrew demands respect. This guy does not deserve anyone's respect. I say take Prince away from him. I say take this issue through Parliament, pass an act in Parliament saying he is no longer the Duke of York. Otherwise, technically, he still is. The problem with the King is, I've got a lot of time for him and all that, but he's a pretty weak man. He doesn't like confrontation. He should have acted earlier on Andrew, but he didn't. And now I think he needs to act tougher than he has so far.
Well, on a human level too, Kev, I mean, it is his brother. I mean, this stuff isn't easy at all.
It would be if it was my brother. I mean, come on, this guy has crossed the line, crossed the line, crossed the line. He's a disgusting, lying individual, and we all know it. And the embarrassment is going to get really, really bad come tomorrow when Virginia Giuffre's post-death biography is published. It's going to be very embarrassing.
I'm just not sure there's any embarrassment left to have. This guy the guy is effectively, socially dead, isn't he? It's over. He's gone. He can never, ever, ever recover from this.
That's for sure. But I just think we should do it officially. We should tell these royals, actually, we're in charge of you. You're not calling the shots this time. We are. And take this Act of Parliament through the House of Commons, because I think the King is just trying to spare the monarchy's blushes. But that said, thank you, Isabel. We'll talk again soon. Isabel Oakeshott, Talks International editor. Next up, our special school report, so stick around for that.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Before we go to our next story, the Metropolitan Police here in London have said that it will no longer investigate non-crime hate incidents. The only question being, why did you ever investigate them in the first place? If it's not a crime, it's none of the police's business, is it? The cops now say they'll focus on matters that meet the threshold for criminal investigations. Well, how about that? Unbelievable. Why did it take you so long to get to this decision? The reason for this decision is that Graham Linehan, if you remember this time last week, he was on the show, the creator, the writer of Father Ted, the IT Crowd, and lots of other very successful comedy series, who was cancelled over his dispute, if you like, his ongoing narrative with the trans community. Well, you remember that on the 1st of September, when he arrived back into Britain from America, he was arrested by 5 Met Police officers, armed officers, and investigated with a view to inciting racial hatred on Twitter because he'd said something not very nice about the trans community, allegedly. Well, guess what? The Met Police now have said, I'm writing to inform you that following a review of the evidence by the Crown Prosecution Service, it has been determined that no further action will be taken in this matter. Well, of course it won't. A few tweets, well, I mean, in our mad world, it probably would be investigated properly, and we're probably lucky that we've at least reached a point where even the police see that common sense should prevail, and therefore Graham Linehan will not face any charges, even though 5 armed coppers arrested him when he landed at Heathrow on September the 1st. Unbelievable, ridiculous. But now Met Police going one step further and saying, actually, non-crime hate incidents, we've had enough of them. That's when they knock on people's doors and say, did you do this tweet 6 months ago? We think it might be incitement to racial hatred. Yeah, right. You know, so that sort of nonsense is going to be dropped. So perhaps slowly and surely the police and the authorities are being dragged, kicking and screaming, into the world of common sense. No more non-crime hate incidents, no more arresting people with 5 armed officers at the airport for tweets. Hey, let's just stop all that. Right, give me a call. Let me know what you think about that. 03444991000. Now, we began the show by talking about the Cherry Lane Primary School. It's in an area called West Drayton, to the west of London. It's right by, across the M4 motorway, it's right by a massive Holiday Inn, 600 rooms, where many of the rooms are occupied by migrants and asylum seekers. They're mostly young men, of course, and they go through this tunnel underneath the M4 and they gather outside the school. You've seen the video. Now, on Saturday, the parents, who are frankly sick to death of seeing all these young men leering through the fence, smoking sheesh pipes, just generally making the kids feel uncomfortable. Some of them saying, you know, my kids are too scared to go to school now. These parents staged a big demonstration, a protest, because they can't seem to get any sense out of the school or the local authorities or the police. So they staged a protest, you know, save our kids, keep our kids safe. Bit like those protests we've been seeing at the Bell Hotel in Epping in Essex. Same kind of motivation, worried about safety on the streets, particularly for children. These kids, 640 kids at this school, aged between 3 and 11 years old. Big school, lots of kids. Now, the producer of the show, my excellent producer, Samara Gill, turned ace reporter, and she went down there to have a look at the demonstrations and to speak and talk to some of the parents involved. And this is her report.
Here I am in West Drayton. Now, this is really a microcosm for what is going on in the country. We've got a community behind me protesting primarily about the massive illegal migrant hotel that has cropped up just a couple meters away from the local primary school. This is a community who is quite frankly done with what's going on. They did not want hundreds of illegal migrants dumped in their community. And now this is what's happening as a result of that. We've heard a lot of horrendous stories today of children not feeling safe, women not feeling safe. Is that impacted you?
100%. The other week I was in the Mulberry Park, actually last week, and I was with my 3 children. I'm a single parent. My children are very young. So there was a group of about 8 men. They had broken through the fence, the illegal migrants, broken through the fence, and it was like a stampede, them all coming through, and I just grabbed my kids and I ran to the car. And everyone was like, call the police. I was like, they're not going to help us, but we are in a group, a WhatsApp group, and as soon as I put a message out, someone was there within minutes. The community,
The community, not the police.
Not the police, no.
There were a lot of them here today.
Yes,
Yeah.
there's a lot of them. I think they were expecting it not to go as well as it has, you know, peaceful. Many children here, families and things like that, so that's what we're all about. We haven't ever been violent or aggressive or anything like that. It was really the other way round. You know, there was a garden centre that shut down, the A&E, the schools. It needs to be poured back into us. You know, we're all struggling, you know, wherever we come from. Everyone is struggling in each way. So we need to stop that and give the community back what it deserves.
You're here today. Why are you here today?
I'm here to protect the kids and how I have the streets safer for when I have kids. Because I'm scared. Because I'm scared if anything's going to happen to me. Because being a white girl is really scary at this time. Loads of people call me racist for going to these, but I just want to be able to feel safe in my own community, and I just want to be able to walk the streets like my dad and my mum used to without a worry.
Not going to school at the moment. What's happening there?
People are calling me racist at school for going to the marches, and they're calling me far right. But the thing is, I'm not far right. I respect everyone's cultures, their religion, where they come from and their background. I just want to be able to feel safe.
This here behind me is the school that is creating the march that we can just see just there. That school is pretty much at the centre of a lot of the discontent that the community is feeling because the school is so close to a illegal migrant hotel. So that there is the quite controversial underpass that is connecting the school to just above here. There will be the hotel in question. Here is the highly controversial Holiday Inn. Got a lot of police guarding it, and we've got the protest going past right there. They've been allowed in by the police. We're going to go in now and see what happens.
Because we've had enough of everybody in this community being put second, being put last. My child has to decide whether she has a bottle of water and something to eat at first break or second break. They're getting 4-star treatment while our soldiers are sleeping homeless. Our elderly aren't being treated fairly. They are getting first-class treatment for we don't even know who they are. We are not racist, we are not hate, but we have to protect our own.
The children feel safe playing here just with the migrant hotel behind me. But that's because the whole community is here to protect them. Well, a massive turnout today. How do you feel? What's the emotion?
All of us in general feel really good about it. All about the community. This is about the kids and the future for our kids, the future for ourselves. You know, unfortunately, this hotel has now been, well, half of this hotel has now been open to members of the general public. You know, and in reality, why would you want to take your children and be in a? Don't get me wrong. You don't know even in a normal hotel who's in the room next to you. But in a situation like this, to know that the people that could be in the room below you, above you, or even next to you, that you've got no idea who they are.
Yeah.
Completely and utterly undocumented men. Like everywhere else, Germany, France, Poland, America, they're all pro their own country, their own people, and this is what we need to be doing. We need to be putting ourselves first.
We're heading off to a second hotel. Why are you here today?
Because of basically the government should not be paying for all these hotels, because they should put it towards the mental health system, because the mental health system is so corrupt and really bad. So I think they should be putting more money to the mental health chief, and so to pay for more properties for the soldiers who fought for the country to be put somewhere in hotels safe.
Yeah. And they get more than what I get. Right. And I have to provide for my family, pay rent and everything.
Yeah.
So it's not fair.
Here we are outside the Novotel. This is a second hotel that is housing a lot of illegal migrants. I've been told not to stand too close to the windows because they do lean out and spit on people. Do you feel safe in your community as a woman?
No. Yeah, no, don't need any refugee in the hotel. Check him out, please.
I've lived here for 12 years, and over the last 5 years I've actually been frightened to come out of my own house. We have illegal immigrants walking our streets in like packs of 6 to 8 men at a time. I do not go out of my house after 5 o'clock in the evening due to this.
So you've noticed your community change substantially?
Absolutely, absolutely.
And as a female, you just don't feel safe?
No, absolutely. And I've walked these streets all my life and never felt afraid. We've had multicultural society as long as I was little. We had multicultural in school. This is not a racist issue. What this is about is our community. All our services are closed. Literally, they've closed everything for disability, anything for all our libraries are closing. They've closed the police stations. Everything is closing, but they have money for this.
Whether it's perception or reality, Britain's migrant crisis is on this community's front step.
Well, I haven't seen that before. Remarkable report. You know, just capturing, you know, the fears of these parents. And by the way, a little 12-year-old girl that Samara interviewed in the middle of that. We didn't just go up to a kid. No. We did ask the parents. Her parents were very keen for her to come on, so full parental permission there. And I thought she spoke very eloquently as well. Well, Samara Gill, our producer turned ace reporter, is in the studios. Great report, Samara. Heightened feelings down there.
Yeah, I mean, to be on the front lines like that was something really different, because we're constantly in this studio reporting on what's going on with the migrant crisis. But to actually see where it's happening was a whole other feeling. And unfortunately, what was most evident was that time and time again, it's the working class that are placed on the front lines of this absolute migrant invasion that's going on in the UK. And you could see a community that was once great and once together and once very safe, and children could walk to school, and they can now no longer do basic human rights, basic children sort of activities that they would normally do because of this sort of dumping of thousands of migrants, or at least hundreds.
Well, we should talk about Hillingdon. This is the borough where Cherry Lane Primary School is, and those hotels, particularly the big one there. There's a borough of Hillingdon, which is near Heathrow Airport. But this is the borough, the single council area with the highest number of migrants and asylum seekers per capita in the entire country. So it's almost as if the apple doesn't fall far from the trees. You know, that it's Heathrow, and you know, they're all sort of dumped there on in these hotels that tend to surround airports. Of course, most of them will have come through Dover, through the south coast, but then they get brought up to the airport, so it's kind of strange.
Some of them on planes too. Apparently some are from the Chagos Islands. There is a small fraction as well that is there, but it's enough to change the fabric.
Well, that's what I was thinking.
Community.
It's like, you know, it's like right by the airport, and you know, that's where they put them. But what's interesting about that report, as you say, we sit here day in, day out, go, oh, 392 migrants came across the channel on Saturday. All very shocking. But in order to sort of start to really appreciate a story, to understand a story, you have to go and speak to the people who are affected by it. So when you hear 392 migrants came across the channel on Saturday, or was it there's 2 Saturdays, I think it was 895, and wasn't there one day last week where there was nearly 1,300. When you hear 1,300 migrants crossed the channel yesterday. Well, this is where they end up. They end up in these hotels, you know, many of which are right by local schools, and these parents and the kids are the people who are affected by this ongoing invasion, as you quite rightly call it, Samara, that the government's doing nothing about.
Well, exactly, and sort of everyone that I spoke to, they're hard-working British people that are genuinely just trying to put food on the table, and they were even struggling to do that. So that's the issue. That's kind of where the chasm comes with this sort of thing, because they don't have enough to provide for their own family, and they're seeing the government provide 3 meals a day, hotel, NHS, every single thing for these people who've just arrived here and never paid a cent of tax in their life. And that's where you start to get these real community tensions, which are completely founded. I mean, I spoke to absolutely everyone there. I was there for about 5 hours, and there was not a shred of so-called racism or anything like that. It was just people wanting to feel safe within their community and not wanting illegal, undocumented men roaming around their streets near their children. And a lot of those people had lived there their entire life, and they said that they just noticed a change in the last 3 to 4 years. That's when they noticed things changing. All the women I spoke to can't go outside their house at night. I mean, this is really emergency threat level. And I'm not saying that these people in the hotels are the threat, but I'm saying how the community is feeling is a real issue.
Yeah, I mean, this is what I was saying earlier in the show. You take this school, it's a big school, 640 kids, all aged between 3 and 11 years old. There's been no crimes there, not that we know of anyway, that none of these migrants or asylum seekers have done anything particularly egregious or nefarious. But, you know, it seems to me kind of, well, put it this way, disconcerting that outside a kid's school, primary school, the guys smoking sheesh pipes, just all hanging around. We spoke to, you spoke to James Timms, he's one of the dads there who was in your report. Well, we spoke to him last week, and he's the guy that when they couldn't get the school to repair the playground fence, through which they say all these guys were leering and looking at the kids, James went himself and repaired it himself. Because the school kept saying, yes, we've sent off for a contract and we've put it open and we're hoping to get a reply in 2 weeks' time. And James basically said, sod this, I'll fix it myself. And he went and fixed it. But essentially, I think what these parents are saying is we've tried, we've talked to the school, you get no answer. We, on this show, put several questions to the school last week, pretty much haven't received a reply.
No, I mean, I think it's difficult because they probably feel gagged in some sort of way that they can't do much.
They could talk to us.
Yeah, they should talk to us. I mean, even that little girl there who I interviewed told me that she hasn't been to school in 3 weeks. And she said to me on the, it wasn't included in that report, but she said, I just want to be able to go outside and play, and I can't do that anymore. And that's a basic childhood right that she's not able to have in her own country of Britain that she's been born into. And that's when I start to think we have massive problems here. And I think it won't be solved until those illegal migrants are either moved fully out of that community or at least contained. Because as you said, a lot of people that I spoke to said that they're not behaving respectfully while they are in the community. And I don't even blame them because it's their first time probably in Britain. They don't know how to act. They don't know, you know, the different social norms. And that kind of comes to the heart of the problem. You're dumping these people in the community with absolutely no sort of vision of what it actually is.
So the reality here, Samara, just to sort of summarise really, is we have kids, because we spoke to that mum, didn't we, on Friday, Leah?
Yes, I spoke to
a mum we spoke to on Friday about this story, this developing story. And she said she got 3 kids at that school, and all 3 of them are terrified to go to school. So you've got kids who are scared to go to school because of this kind of gauntlet of migrants they have to negotiate to get into the school. You've got their mums who don't feel safe on the streets. And I suspect that this is not unique, that too many of these asylum seeker hotels have a close proximity to local schools, and I think this situation that Samara has just brilliantly reported on is probably being repeated all over the country.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, it's a microcosm for what's going around. And as I said, when I was there, I did not realise how close that asylum seeker was.
I didn't either. Man, that is close.
But that shows the blatant disregard that the government has for women and children's safety, because anyone with half a brain cell would know, OK, maybe let's not place a massive migrant hotel right near a primary school. But they clearly just don't care, or have this sort of veiled perception of what an asylum seeker really is, an undocumented migrant, and the threat that it could be to the community. That school is surrounded. The 3 different hotels and then the school in the middle.
3,
It's something bad waiting to happen, and I really hope that's not the case.
Yeah, we'd call upon the school to start talking to these parents. You know, start working something out, maybe talk to the parents, talk to the police. Something should be worked out, because what you've got here is a school that kids are afraid to go to. You've got a school that mothers are afraid to escort their kids to. Mothers are afraid to walk the local streets. You've got sometimes hundreds of these migrants coming underneath the M4 to hang around this school. As I say, no one's accusing them of any crimes, but there's something wrong with this picture, isn't there? Let me know what you think. 03444991000. Thank you to producer and ace reporter Samara Gill. Great report, Samara. Thank you. When we come back, we're going to be talking about the alleged cover-up by the London Mayor Sadiq Khan of the capital city, London's what critics say is a very real rape gang problem just across the north, just like in places like Rotherham and Leeds and the various places across Rochdale, the various places across the north. They say it's been going on in London as well. It continues to go on, and yet the mayor Sadiq Khan acts like no, we haven't got that problem. And we're going to talk to a policeman who, when he was a copper, tried to alert the authorities to this. He's been on the show before, so he'll tell you that when Sadiq Khan says London does not have a rape gang problem, he either doesn't know the truth, doesn't actually know the truth, or he's lying. It's one of the two. We'll talk about that next. Stay tuned.
the sort of gangs that groom young girls at a young age for sex. Exactly how much clearer do you want me to be?
This is quite embarrassing for Sadiq Khan, because in view of that abject denial and in fact playing around with words there. It's clear that there is a problem somewhere and that the authorities haven't really reacted to it. And it's much easier to deal with these problems when you accept there is a problem and you get stuck into it and solve it.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. I believe it was only 2 Wednesdays ago that a whistleblower, former Metropolitan Police detective, came into the studio and told us that when the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, constantly maintains that whilst there's been a big rape gang problem around the country, never a sign of it, never even a hint of it here in the capital city, John told us that's just not true. Well, welcome to the studio again, John Wedger, former copper, whistleblower with the Metropolitan Police. You're not hamstrung by being a copper anymore, so you can say what you like. And you did last time as well. But after you told me that Sadiq Khan's claims that there was no rape gang problem in London were basically a crock of crap.
Yeah.
Well, it turns out the Daily Express has teamed up with the My London website. They've done an investigation which has established that young girls are being raped in hotels by men mainly of Pakistani origin, Muslim men of Pakistani origin. So the same syndrome we've seen all over the country. So they're saying that Mayor Khan either literally does not know the truth or he's absolutely flat out lying. I know what some of his political opponents believe, but let's give him the credit for, give him the sort of benefit of the doubt. Let's just say he doesn't know about it. But reiterate for us, John, why it is that, what it is that Sadiq Khan needs to know that is going on in the capital city here.
Well, it's shameful that it takes the Daily Express to bring to the front something that really is very much in the public interest. And again, the age groups, I did read the report, 17 down to 12 years old. And this is going on. And it just goes to show when I was sort of removed from that post in the early 2000s, nothing's changed. The only thing that's changed seems to be the ethnicity of those doing it. It's the same algorithm all the time. And, to put the money where my mouth is, after I appeared on your show a couple of weeks ago, I was approached by a production company that make documentaries, and they were horrified and outraged by my claims. And they said, is this really going on? So I said, well, come with me and let's prove it.
Yeah.
We went out on the streets of London. We went to rough areas, which were what they call known red light areas. So the police know about these areas. Within 90 minutes, we found a girl there. She'd been on the street from the age of 14. She was actually being sort of exploited, pimped out by her mother. So, but even more horrific. But she'd been on the streets. She said at no point had the police ever intervened or anyone come out to help her. She then gave us information of 3 other girls. One of them was a young Somali girl, and she said to us, this girl is extremely young. We went further down the road to look for her. We met up with another street worker who said, yeah, this girl, you've just missed her. She's just gone, and she's very, very young. So within 90 minutes, we'd found one girl that although she was out the age group now, but she had been on there from the age of 14, and 3 girls, one being extremely young, all young girls, all sort of shouldn't be there at all, on the street. So that's the street scene, which is a very dangerous and precarious scene. And we've not yet explored, like I mentioned last time, the children's homes, which is the main areas that are targeted
Yeah, well, tell us about that again, because you were telling us that what you tried to alert the police to and the authorities to was the fact that kids were being almost pimped out, or at least let go by children's homes, orphanages, and these poor kids were picked up by guys in, you know, flash cars and then taken to hotels, to rooms above shops and things like that, and serially basically plied with drugs, drink and raped.
Yep. Now, what I did was I got a list of the children's home for one London borough, and I think there's in the late 20s in respect to London boroughs. One I picked on was Haringey. There was 26 kids' homes. I rang them up and I just boldly asked, how many children have you got? One of the first ones I rang, they had 6 children, and I said, how many children do you lose at the weekend to this criminality? 5. 5 out of the 6. It's just absolutely appalling. Young girls, but what makes it worse, Kevin, these are children that are known to the authorities. They are regular missing persons. At no point is anyone debriefing them, and the social services really went for me because they had to put in emergency care plans, so it was a big pain in the backside for them to do that.
Sorry about that. Sorry they had to do their job. So what we're talking about here in London is that it seems that exactly the same syndrome that happened in the north is happening here, that these kids are being exploited, they're being raped, they're being plied with drink and drugs, and the authorities, including allegedly the London mayor, are acting like it's not happening and turning their backs.
Well, if we look at the information getting to the mayor, I reported this to the senior officer for the Metropolitan Police Vice Unit, and he told me, if you mention a word of this, you will lose your home, your job and your children. Shut your effing mouth. Now, also what we got to look at is if they want to report this. Now, one of the key dates in the calendar for people reporting historic child abuse crimes is New Year's Day. And a lot of people, when you speak to them on historic cases, they say, I've got, you know, new start for the year, I'm going to report my offenders. They would go to a police station where they knew that there would be an officer who could then get, usually a female officer that's specially trained in sexual offences down, take them into a side room where, you know, they've got anonymity and discretion to report these claims. They've now shut down all the front offices. They've gone. And also in my day, when I was a young budding detective, if we got crimes allocated to us, it was very difficult to get a crime written off as no further action. An officer contacted me who works for many years on the police's crime reporting desk. He's told me that they are encouraged to write off and no further action 80% of reported crimes. 80%.
It doesn't surprise me somehow. Listen, this is Sadiq Khan not so long ago being quizzed about grooming gangs at the London Assembly.
These have obviously been found in many, many other cities and towns around the country, but there hasn't been much of many prosecutions happened in London. But, you know, obviously, as the police commissioner for Northumberland said, this is happening anywhere, and the only reason why it's not being found is that people aren't looking. Are you looking in London for grooming gangs in London in order to prosecute people? Because if it's going on in cities like Oxford and Bristol and Peterborough and Aylesbury, smaller places, it's surely going on in London as well on a large scale.
Can I just be clear, Chair? Is the inference that because of my faith or my ethnic origin, I'm not seeking to follow these crimes?
No, I'm asking you because you're the Police and Crime Commissioner.
Assemblymember Curtin, I think you're pretty much drifting now onto drifting off the subject itself. So can I just ask you to stick to the topic and ask a relevant question, please?
Well, Chair, I mean, I was originally asking about Black Lives Matter, and then the Mayor started talking about slavery, and the questioning has developed.
Yeah, but you're still going off the tangent now, so can you please be cautious about that and not ask...
Okay, well, Chair, if you want to disallow my question, that's your prerogative.
Well, this seems to be the pattern of events surrounding this ongoing scandal. Let's get this straight. The rape gang scandal is not over. It's happening all over the country, and now We have reason to believe, partly because of John, but partly because of a recent investigation by the Daily Express and My London, the website, that it's going on badly here in London. Now, Chris Philp, the Shadow Home Secretary, said, "It is shameful that the Mayor of London is claiming to have no indication that grooming gangs are operating in London, despite personally responding to reports containing evidence of victims abused by grooming gangs in the city. It is clear Sadiq Khan is facilitating a cover-up." Reform UK MP Lee Anderson said the Mayor had serious questions to answer. He added, "There is real, credible evidence that grooming gangs exist in London, and for the Mayor to have potentially turned a blind eye is utterly shameful." Lee Anderson carried on by saying that the UK could not go on making the same catastrophic errors we saw in Rochdale, Rotherham and all over the country. He demanded that victims receive proper justice. So it does look as if, I mean, Sadiq Khan will no doubt deny this, but it looks as if there's a very real possibility that what we saw in towns like Rotherham and Rochdale is going on down here in London.
Well, we proved it the other night. So we went out within 90 minutes, we had the evidence of young kids under the age of 16 actively out on the streets engaged in sex work. And all the health hazards that you know, and the risks to life that they're exposed to. And when we asked them, when we asked the street workers out there, do the police come along? They said, no, we've never seen police, not for years. So you're not getting, like I mentioned last time, you need proactive policing for this issue. It's hidden, it's covert. It doesn't present itself. You need to go out there and do it, and it's easy to do. And I took out the film crew that got in touch with your station last week. I took them out, and within 90 minutes, I proved myself right. Within 90 minutes.
Well, there you go, folks. This is John Wedger, former copper, who whistle blew on this many years ago. He says it's still going on. The Express and the My London website have, in their view, established beyond all doubt that it's still going on. We have a mayor who keeps saying he doesn't recognise that this is going on. Is this happening again in London? That we got the authorities deliberately turning a blind eye? You saw Sadiq Khan there saying, "You're asking me this because of my Muslim faith." Just trying to play the race card. No, no, no. I think that councillor was asking you, Sadiq, because he's worried about the fate of vulnerable young girls on the street of the capital city, London, the one that you're supposed to be the mayor of. We've got to do something, haven't we, John?
Can I mention something?
Yeah, please.
If he's bringing ethnicity into this, from my experience, those men that are having sex with these young girls, that makes them paedophiles.
Yes.
And paedophiles is what they call trisexual. They don't care what colour a kid is, and they don't sometimes care what gender the kid is.
Yeah.
So if these are Asian men that are doing it, there's every chance they'll be doing it to kids within their own ethnicity. So if you ignore it, saying that this ethnic group are doing it, you're actually failing the child victims of your own ethnic group.
So you're saying that right now you're absolutely, utterly convinced, and the Express and My London will tend to confirm this, that children, young girls, vulnerable girls, some of them underage, as we speak, are being sexually exploited by rape gangs.
And I proved it a couple of days ago on the street.
That is shocking, isn't it, folks? Let me know what you think. 03444 991 1000. When we come back, I'm going to be asking the big question. Why is Peter Mandelson still drawing his £174,000 a year salary for being Britain's ambassador to Washington? I only ask because as of, 3 weeks ago, he was sacked. He doesn't do that job anymore. He's back in Britain. Why is he still getting his six-figure salary? Can you explain that to me? We'll try and find out after these messages. Stay where you are.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Let's talk about Peter Mandelson. What was it, 3 weeks ago? Well, was it longer? 3 weeks ago. He had to, he was sacked as our ambassador to Washington, our man in America. This was a job that the Prime Minister had deemed he was capable of doing. But soon emails emerged from him, that man Jeffrey Epstein again, in which Mandelson's relationship with this convicted paedophile after he was convicted proved to be untenable. Talking about him being his best friend, and we must all help you in your hour of need, and we'll try and work out a strategy to get you off the hook, that kind of thing. And so he had to go. He actually refused to resign and was furious when Starmer said, well, in that case, you are sacked. Well, he's back in Britain now. He was photographed at the weekend in the West Country. And it turns out he's still earning his £174,000 a year Foreign Office salary. He's still getting his six-figure salary for a job he was sacked from. Turns out that that's because he was sacked, and therefore there's a dispute on how much his contract, how much of his contract he should be compensated for. That is a 4-year contract. So how much are we going to have to pay this guy? I don't think we should give him any compensation at all. He proved to have done something very, very unwise, something that he should never have done should he want to hold down the job of ambassador to Washington, Britain's ambassador to Washington, our top diplomatic role. There is no higher diplomatic role than ambassador to Washington. It's the most important diplomacy role in all of Britain. Obviously, our relationship with our biggest and closest ally is crucial. This guy turned out he'd been living his life in a way that made that unsustainable. So somewhere or other, apparently we still have to compensate this guy for having the terrible judgment to maintain his close friendship with the convicted paedophile. I don't see why we have to compensate him, but apparently we do. But here he is, back in Britain, still on his ambassadorial salary. £174,000 a year. Nice lack of work if you can get it, isn't it? Let's talk to political strategist Pete Barnes. Hi, Pete. This is just typical of Westminster, isn't it? This kind of, what the hell, it's just a few quid here, a few quid there. This is our money. This is taxpayers' money. We ought to constitutionally do something about this. The ability of politicians who fall from grace to still have their snouts in the trough, to still be taking taxpayers' money. Don't you think it is an ongoing scandal that this guy, Peter Mandelson, sacked from his important role, brought the country into disrepute, shamed this nation, is still getting here a six-figure salary, 174 grand a year, for a job he no longer does? What is that all about?
Well, who will rid us of this troublesome ambassador seems to be the phrase around Westminster at the moment, that's for certain. But this is the difference. Allow me to be the translator of Westminster to normal English. Dismissed is not the same as withdrawn. So basically, he hasn't technically been fired. Now, politically, he definitely has. But in terms of the administration, he hasn't, because he is technically a servant of the crown. So for that, you need certain kind of procedures to follow and certain steps, and more importantly, legal justification. This is what's not there at the moment, and it's deeply concerning that the Foreign Office is hiding behind HR matters as a kind of cover-all because they don't have actual grounds to fire him. This is the problem, is that whilst his friendship is, I think, morally repugnant, there is not really a classification for him not to have the job, which staggers me beyond belief, but yeah.
Well, I mean, you say that, Pete, but what we're talking about, I've just looked up, by the way, it's September the 11th he got fired. Yeah, so we're talking about well over a month. So he's still drawing this handsome amount of money. You say that there's no real technical reason to fire him. Couldn't you just say, brought the country into disrepute, therefore you breached your contract?
Well, unfortunately, that sets a precedent. If you're doing that, we'd have no ambassadors and no civil servants and no politicians. It would bring in the country into disrepute.
This is the kind of nonsense up with which the people of this country won't be prepared to put for much longer. This is nonsense. This is nonsense. The guy got sacked because he had a very inappropriate friendship with a convicted paedophile, sent him all sorts of lovey-dovey messages. He's in the same trouble over Jeffrey Epstein as the Duke of, or the former Duke of York, Prince Andrew is. You know, you say they don't. I think they do have a technical. It's a question of wanting to sack him, and they should say you breached your contract, you brought the country into disrepute, you're out, go, you're not getting any money, shouldn't they?
Yeah. Oh, I completely agree, and I think you're 100% right. That, you know, it's without doubt that the guy had to be fired. I don't think he should have got the job in the first place.
Yeah, well, there is that. Yeah, you're right about that. Yeah.
I know. The guy in the pub at the end of my road could have told you after 12 pints, don't hire Peter Mandelson. You know, this was bound to happen, but here we are. But this is the problem. It sets a precedent. And like you said, it is the lack of moral conviction I find deeply concerning from not only the civil service, who, you know, would oversee this, but the Prime Minister himself, who can intervene. Let's not forget, he is the Prime Minister. And, you know, he could actually force us along. They're hiding behind bureaucracy. They're hiding behind the systems and all the definitions and all this wordplay to protect themselves. And that it's not just to protect them now, it's to protect themselves in the future. This is the problem. When we talk about the blob and Westminster working against the people, it is this type of thing that needs to be cut out and cut out quickly.
Yeah, I agree with you. You know, the Westminster cesspit, you know, it's almost like nothing succeeds like scandal, like, you know, Angela Rayner, you know, who basically tried to dodge paying stamp duty tax, then tried to lie her way out of it. Absolutely gone in disgrace. She had to step down as Deputy Prime Minister and Housing Secretary. And the next thing we learned couple of weeks later, 2-3 weeks later, is, oh, she's still got her ministerial BMW because it's a security issue. In other words, doesn't matter what scandal you get into in Westminster, you keep your money, you keep your perks, you don't pay the price. That's got to finish. That's got to end, hasn't it?
Yes, and it's why I think, when we were talking on Friday about Prince Andrew, that we actually have this Act of Parliament, that we actually use these moments as lines in the sand now, and we say no more. We actually follow through and hold people accountable for just being terrible people and awful for the British nation and its people. Yet again, the master of the dark arts, his spell is yet lingering around with us, and the taxpayer is footing the bill. It is absolutely ridiculous, and this is even a thing. But it is become a thing because the Westminster blob is allowed to protect itself. It's gone unchecked for too long, and too many people look the other way and have just said, well, that's just how it is. It's not how it is, and it doesn't have to be like this. It is ridiculous. I mean, but I can't stress the diplomatic chaos this has caused is significant. Washington is furious about the kind of the administrative chaos and all the rest of it. I mean, it makes Britain look even more foolish than we already are under Starmer.
Absolutely. I mean, he shouldn't have got the job in the first place. No. And now it's really unravelling. But let me ask the audience, should this guy still be getting his £174,000 a year salary for being our ambassador to Washington, a job that he was sacked from on September the 11th? Should he still be drawing his money, his wages, do you think? 03444991000. Big thank you to Peter Barnes. I'll see you on Friday, mate. That's a political strategist, Pete Barnes. Let's go to break, take some calls. When we come back, we'll probably about one call. So 03444991000. Let's talk. It's good to talk on Talk.
We're going to select a random family, give them billions of pounds, 7 palaces and castles. They'll live for free. They'll get first-class lifestyles forever. They'll holiday in the world's most luxurious locations, and then their kids will inherit the whole thing and it will start over again. They will want for nothing, ever. In exchange, they'll wave the flag for the country, press the flesh with a few world leaders, hold some banquets. Oh, and they'll get paid for all of this, by the way. No one would vote for that.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. We're going to go to the news fairly soon, and then after the news we're going to go to Los Angeles. We're going to talk to Kinsey Schofield, maybe a little bit about Prince Andrew, and a little bit about Harry and Meghan. So lots still to come. But before we get to the news, let's quickly talk to Jason in Sheffield. Hi, Jason. What would you like to say?
How you doing, Kev? Not too bad. I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, the way the government can get around this problem is if they call a national state of emergency, that pretty much overrides all international and European laws in this country.
Yeah, the trouble is, Jason, they're not going to do that, are they?
No, of course they're not. But they should do it, but they're not going to do it. But it'd stop bloody immigration. Sorry for the language.
Stop it altogether. Well, I mean, a lot of people feel that, but you know, like I think I was trying to remember the amount. I think it was 392 or something came across on Saturday. So they're still coming over at a rate of knots.
I mean, we're not talking a couple of hundred a year. We're talking tens and tens of thousands.
Well, it's over 36,000 this year so far.
What we know about.
Yeah, I suppose so.
You forget about the ones we don't know about. I mean, that's only the boats to catch.
Yeah.
And the ones that are coming back in the back of lorries and cars.
Yeah, 369 on Saturday, so quite a lot.
Yeah.
So they're still coming over at a rate of knots. And as I say, the report that we did on that school in West London, Cherry Lane Primary School, I think that's the situation that's going on all over the country. Parents worried about their kids, kids worried about going to school, migrants hanging around on the streets, nothing to do, just generally causing anxiety, I think. So, yeah, we've got a problem here. But listen, Jason, I agree with you, but we won't get a state of emergency. We should have one, but we won't get one. Good to talk to you, though, mate, as always. Jason in Sheffield, as I say, when we come back after the 9 o'clock news, we'll go live to Los Angeles to talk to Kinsey Schofield. I think probably need to get to grips with some of this dizzying Prince Andrew story, what the hell is going on there, and let's talk about what Meghan's been up to and what Harry's been up to, if anything at all. What does he ever do? I don't know. We'll try to find out after the news, so stay tuned.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Taking your calls. I'll read some of your messages and also your WhatsApp voice notes in about 25 minutes' time. So if you want to give me a call, 03444991000, or you can still leave a WhatsApp voice note, same number, 03444991000. Get it off your chest, get on the phone, get on the show, 03444991000. So all of that a little later. But first, well, it's been a hell of a eventful week on the royal scene, hasn't it, on the royal front? So let's go straight over to Los Angeles and talk to our resident royal guru, our resident expert, the host of Kinsey Schofield Unfiltered, Kinsey Schofield. Hi, Kins.
Kev, I had the best weekend of not looking at any Prince Andrew headlines. I chose to spend it with my nephew and not see anything. And then yesterday I got home, perused everything, and thought, this is pretty bad. This is pretty bad.
It's pretty bad. It really is. We tried to get you on Friday. I know that you always have Fridays off. But I said, see if Kinsey will break off her weekend, see if she can come on. But I don't think we managed to make contact. But it actually broke on Friday just as I was going on air, 7 o'clock Friday night. And frankly, all hell broke loose. It occurs to me, Kinsey, because usually we spend most of our time talking about Harry and Meghan. There's a thread here, right? I think you and I have discussed this before. If you're born into the royal family, it is the British royal family, it is an extremely unusual card to be played in the game of life. It's a very unusual lot to have to learn to deal with. Not that easy, I would suggest. And I would also suggest you need a certain intellect, a certain brain power to work out how to behave with the status that has been bequeathed to you, how to behave with a certain humility, with a certain dignity. Otherwise, it can go badly wrong. Now, who are the thickest two members, the dumbest two members of the British royal family? Well, there's no competition. It is Prince Harry and Prince Andrew, both of whom I think have demonstrated that they cannot get their heads around the decent form of behaviour that they should be following. Now, I'm in no way, of course, linking Harry with the sort of nefarious awfulness that Prince Andrew's been involved in. But there's
I think it's completely fair to say that Harry and Meghan are on the same trajectory. If you look at some of the associations that Harry and Meghan have, we discussed this last week, you will be judged by the company that you keep. So when Lily's godfather is named Tyler Perry, who's accused of sexual harassment and sexual assault, it will negatively affect you. It will negatively affect Lily. Whitney Hurd from Bumble, who Meghan calls one of her best friends, was one of the first guests on Confessions of a Female Founder, accused of racism, admitted to using the N-word, admitted to perpetuating homophobia around the office to keep up with some of the guys. You know, there is a long list of people that Ellen DeGeneres accused of bullying. There is a long list of associations that have soured with the public when it comes to Harry and Meghan. And I do think that you are who you associate with, and Harry and Meghan have to be very careful going forward of who they allow within their circle, because it will reflect negatively on the British royal family.
Well, I think that I take your point there, Kinsey, but the parallel that we can definitely draw between disgraced Prince Andrew, for he is fully in disgrace and shame now. Frankly, these deniers, I have never met this woman, Virginia Giuffre, no one believes him. No one believes him for a second. If it was true he'd never met her, if it was true that he hadn't, as she claims, sexually abused her on 3 different continents. If his denials were true, why is he stepping down? Why is he giving up his titles? Why did he give her £12 million or $15 million not to go to civil court in New York? So all of those questions just basically lead one to conclude that we know he's a liar. He lied about cutting off contact from Jeffrey Epstein. Why should we believe him on these other denials? That notwithstanding, what I'm trying to say is there is a parallel between the path in life that Prince Andrew and Fergie, his former wife, took, and the path that Harry seems to be taking. And that is this, that like Harry, Andrew and Fergie used their royal status to line their own pockets, to hook up with rich people to make money. Now, that's what Harry has gone off to do in America. He's gone off to use his royal status to make lots of money for himself. I don't think it's going well, but that's what he's trying to do. So there is this parallel, and if you have this combination of a guy who's famously not too bright, Prince Harry and Prince Andrew, just trying to cash in on their royal status, which they don't have the intellect to really understand, just to try to use their royal status for venal purposes to make money for themselves. It is a toxic cocktail, and that's why Andrew is in so much trouble, and that's why, you know, Harry has been in so much trouble, and I think will continue to be in a lot of trouble, because this is no way for a royal to behave. It's no way for a royal to behave, say, I am the Duke of Sussex, I'm the King's son, give me money. That is no way.
Give me money, give me royal protection. Also, just, you know, when you talk about Fergie, Meghan Markle, everything Meghan Markle has done echoes Sarah Ferguson. Children's books. Sarah Ferguson writes children's books. There's Meghan Markle's The Bench. Oprah Winfrey. Fergie did several sit-downs with Oprah Winfrey, as well as doing a Oprah Winfrey produced reality show. Now Harry and Meghan turned to Netflix for their reality show, but Fergie also did a reality show. Cooking in the kitchen, trying to go that lifestyle route. Fergie did that as well. You know, we saw her on QVC selling blenders at 3 a.m. That's something that we've seen similar with Meghan Markle trying to shill her as ever products across Netflix. So, I mean, there are multiple comparisons and ways that you can look at what Meghan Markle has done since stepping back as a member of the royal family that mirror Fergie's, and that's not the right way to go. I mean, we've seen how messy that's turned out to be for both of them. I'd say that in the last few weeks, that Fergie email, it might be what started the avalanche here. Supreme friend Jeffrey Epstein, you know, now to be fair, her camp says she just wrote him this groveling apology email because he was threatening her family. We'll pretend that we're confident in that. However, she still wrote Jeffrey Epstein after telling the media that she was distancing herself from him and called him a supreme friend and was very complimentary towards him.
Exactly right. And so, as I say, I'm not trying to say that Andrew and Harry are leading similar or ever led similar lives, but the path they both chose to line their own pockets using their royal status has led to a lot of trouble for Harry, and it's led to, obviously, terminal trouble for Prince Andrew. Before we get back to Harry and Meghan, Meghan's been out and about, by the way, going to a vegan dinner in Los Angeles. Last time I saw her, she had her hand up a chicken's backside. That's not very vegan, is it? We'll talk about that in just a second, but can I get your assessment of just how damaging to the royal family you think this Andrew episode has been, or continues to be, because of course Virginia Giuffre's post-mortem biography, her autobiography, comes out tomorrow. By all accounts, it's full of incredibly damaging allegations against Prince Andrew, because we can still call him that. He's lost all his other titles. And the royal family are bracing themselves for more and more embarrassment. We also have the Epstein files. There are said to be hundreds of emails in the Epstein files which will heap even more humiliation on Andrew and by extension the royal family. How damaging has this all been, Kinsey?
Well, look, I think if you're a monarchist, you wrote Prince Andrew off a long time ago, and you are done with him. You've checked out. You're disgusted with him. And these new, I feel like they hurt the royal family when it comes to general popularity for people that are not necessarily engaged regularly. But if you are a regular royal watcher, you know, you were done with Prince Andrew a long time ago, and his actions are not a reflection to you on King Charles or Prince William. But I think in the overall scheme of things, yes, it will hurt the royal family's popularity in a random YouGov poll coming up. But I think that it's actually given Prince William a little bit of credibility, because these stories that are circulating around the States are that he's prepared to really develop a backbone here. I mean, I shouldn't say develop. I think he's got a great backbone. But the stories that are circulating around the States are that Prince William will strip not only Prince Andrew of his HRH and princely title when he ascends to the throne, because legally, Prince Andrew still has these
titles. He still has the title, yeah.
As the saint that he is, he's voluntarily decided to let them go.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but they're also saying that Prince William will strip Meghan and Harry and their children of dukedoms, their HRH, and that he was unhappy that Meghan continued to use her HRH despite being ordered not to do so by the late Queen Elizabeth. We saw that on that gift basket for Jamie Kern-Lima. So I think that this story has almost propelled Prince William into an admirable leadership role. Yeah. Not to say he wasn't already in one, but I think we're looking at him seeing, that he's courageous, he's brave, and he's willing to do some things that perhaps his father just isn't, because his father is ill. He's waited all of his life for this job, and he just wants to get on with the job.
Sure. There's a lot of calls over here, and I agree with them, for the King now to go the whole hog. And we need to pass an act of Parliament. It has to go through our governmental system. We need to pass an act to officially take these titles. He's got 3. He's also the Earl of Inverness, and he's something called Baron Kiliari or something in Northern Ireland as well. So Baron Kililia, Barry Kililia. Barony Kililia. So there are moves to go through Parliament and take these titles away from him officially. The King is saying, oh, well, I don't want to bother Parliament with this. I think he's wrong. I think this is about, I think the people want to see it, and I think it's about accountability. If this goes through Parliament, I don't think it'll take up too much time. Nobody's going to bother debating it. It'll just get passed. So I think he's wrong about, the Parliament's too busy. They can do this in a flash. They can do this very quickly. But I think it's about sending a message, not only to the royal family, but to the British people. Accountability. If you behave appallingly, you pay the price. That's what we need to see with Andrew. So I, for one, hope that this Act of Parliament does go through and we do officially take these titles away from him once and for all. And I think you're right, Kinsey. I think when William would do it if he was in control now, if he was the king now, but he's not. But when he is the king, I think you're right, he will take Harry's titles away as well. And I think the people want to see it. We don't want to see members of the royal family being able to do exactly what they want and still retain these exalted titles that are supposed to be positions of respect.
Well,
Why?
also with Harry and Meghan, they're lying through their teeth. And in my opinion, allegedly,
Yeah.
I'll say that for legal.
Yeah.
But when Meghan Markle sits on the Fortune stage, most powerful women, most powerful of what? The chicken coop? Like, what are you most powerful of? You've not had, in the last 3 weeks, we've seen her at Paris Fashion Week. We've seen her accept a Humanitarian of the Year award. And we've seen her sitting in front of a group full of entrepreneurs talking about how she is one of the most powerful women in the business space. Those are 3 different categories where I would argue till my last breath that Meghan Markle has not proven herself in. Fashion, humanitarianism. I mean, Meghan just takes a break. She dips out. We don't hear from her for years or months, and then she comes back with a Humanitarian of the Year award. And when it comes to being an entrepreneur, show us some numbers to prove that you've sold anything from As Ever.
Yeah.
We have no proof whatsoever that you're moving any sort of inventory. Oh, you were the wine sponsor at a recent vegan event. It's because you have plenty of products, girlfriend. Hasn't said sold out on As Ever when it comes to any of your booze lately. So I think that what really frustrates people about watching Harry and Meghan use the titles, if it was just Harry showing up and talking to sick kids, we would have no problem with the Duke and Duchess of Sussex title. But it's Meghan sitting on a stage and, in my personal opinion, lying through her teeth about her success, lying about what she's capable of doing, lying about being a philanthropist. That's what really irritates people about watching and, like you said, monetizing those titles. People resent that.
Yeah, it's not what royalty's for. It's not what British royalty's for. It isn't to make money off the back of. And both Harry and Andy, Harry continues to seek to do it. Quite how Andrew will carry on is a moot point because we may never hear from him again. And if we don't ever hear from him again, it won't be a moment too soon. As I say, that book comes out. It's called Nobody's Girl. It's Virginia Giuffre's book. She, of course, sadly took her own life a few months back, 41 years old. Had been exploited by powerful men her whole life, including, she says, Prince Andrew, on 3 different continents. Andrew says he's never met her. There's a picture of him with his arm around her. So the guy's just a liar. It's just a liar, and he deserves his fate. Let's talk a little bit about Meghan. She is now 2 weeks into this sort of publicity blitz. She went to Paris for the Paris Fashion Week. Nobody invited her. She invited herself. She went to New York to pick up a Humanitarian Award of the Year. No one knows what that was for or why she picked it up, but she likes all that sort of thing. Harry got one too, which is even more farcical. And now, over the weekend, Kinsey, she popped up at a glitzy vegan banquet in Los Angeles. This was at the home of designer Kelly Wurstler. Celebrity chef Camilla Marcus produced an entirely plant-based menu for a series of luminaries, including Meghan. And this plant-based menu was washed down with Meghan's As Ever wine. What a treat for everyone.
Hope you like gasoline.
Yeah. Yeah. What a treat for them all that they got some As Ever wine. I mean, you got to say, not many people get to actually get their As Ever wine, so in that respect they were lucky.
Well, that is the one thing that's not selling out. So if you really want it, guys, it's there for the taking. She also was at a charity event for one of her friends. It was a tennis event. I mean, there has been a strong shift in strategy, and somebody has said, you know what? Let's pretend oversaturation doesn't exist, and let's just throw you absolutely everywhere, and let's, we'll deal with the consequences later. But I thought that there was a really interesting piece in, I think it was the Daily Mail, about how there's no method to the madness. And somebody that, according to the Daily Mail, is close to them, said that her PR team are just putting her out there in a hopeful way without a plan. They aren't being discerning and protecting her from herself, said the source. It seems that every media opportunity is a good one, and they called it insane that was their thought process, that she's just everywhere right now. They said there's no strategy here. It is thoughtless and directionless. One day she's in Paris, positioning herself in the fashion world. The next, she's in Washington at Fortune magazine and wants to be regarded as a female founder, but she's got nothing to launch, nothing to announce, and nothing to say. It's a mess. They said that they felt like the Sussexes were spiraling and throwing spaghetti at a wall to see what sticks. But I told you last week, I told you on Tuesday of last week, I think it's makeup that's coming. And Charlotte Griffin's in the
Mail on Sunday.
The Mail,
yeah.
obviously watching our program, because she's exclusively announced that Meghan makeup could be next on the horizon.
Yeah, Charlotte seems to write a lot of stories that are very pro Meghan.
Oh yeah.
That headline, gee, I wonder where she gets the stories from. But that headline in the Mail on Sunday, you know, now Meghan plans to be a billionaire on the makeup scene. You know, hang on a second, hang on. So this is the latest endeavour that's going to make her $1 billion. Every single time, she's going to be a billionaire. She's going to be a billionaire influencer. She'll be charging $1 million for every single post. Whatever happened to that? She's going to make $1 billion making films and TV shows for Netflix. What happened to that? She's going to make a fortune, $1 billion for American Riviera Orchard. What happened to that? She's going to make $1 billion from As Ever. What happened to that? So when I see a headline saying, now Meghan's going to make $1 billion as a makeup tycoon, I think, really? I doubt it. Don't you?
I do doubt it. I mean, when you think of some of the biggest celebrity makeup brands today, Hailey Bieber, Selena Gomez, what is Rihanna's? Rihanna has Fenty Beauty. These are women that, okay, with Hailey Bieber, yes, the Bieber last name helps her. But as Hailey Baldwin, she was a supermodel before she married her husband. And Hailey Bieber, in my opinion, came up with that brilliant phone case where your lip gloss, her lip gloss, attaches to the back. And everyone bought that phone case. I saw everyone in LA with that phone case. That was a unique, very unique product that we hadn't seen before.
I got one of those. It's brilliant.
I know you do. I know you got 3 or 4 of them.
It really improved my looks.
Exactly.
If that's possible.
But you know, Selena Gomez, Rihanna, Gwen Stefani, these are all people that have really impressive resumes without the person that they married. Without the person she married, Meghan Markle is a nobody that was being written off Suits and was, you know, on the way to having to play a minivan mom in whatever she could secure acting-wise, because she's in her 40s now. Meghan Markle, you know, Suits wasn't the phenomenon then that it became after the plague, when no one had anything else to do but to sit back and rewatch episodes of a show that no longer existed. So, I mean, Meg, you've said it 1,000 times, to be an influencer, to sell things, people have to like you.
That's the problem.
Yeah, how many times does Meghan Markle have to? I mean, she says it she awkwardly laughs during the Fortune interview and talks about how she has a weird relationship with social media. Girl, it's not social media. It's just a fact. Not a lot of people like you. They just utilize social media to tell you. I think that she has a real problem with likability, and it doesn't matter what she launches where. And actually, maybe that's wrong. There are places all over the world that can tolerate her, but it's not in the United States. It's not in the UK. And that's where she's trying to monetize her status to the British royal family.
Absolutely. Now, at this dinner over the weekend in LA, it was actually hosted by the British-born CEO of the fashion brand Good American, Emma Grede. And here's the deal. As I say, they had a plant-based menu because it was a vegan dinner. I don't know what Meghan's doing there. I mean,
remember, this is the same girl that Meghan did an interview with, remember?
Well, but I mean, Meghan seems to be a voracious meat eater, so I'm not quite sure what she's doing there. But anyway, this is what was interesting. It was all this plant-based meal, 3 courses, was washed down by As Ever wine. Emma Grede had red wine. as ever, doesn't do red wine. So what do you make of that? She didn't want the Sauvignon Blanc or the Meghan Rosé, obviously.
Well, I don't trust Emma at this point. Emma sat down and did that interview with Meghan Markle for her podcast and just kissed up and down her backside, talking about how cute the baby mama video is. One of the lowest points, I think, if we look at a calendar in 2025 for Meghan Markle. Her twerking hospital video, I'd say it ranks just above the Vanity Fair American Hustlers article for lowest points in 2025. But also, Emma has the audacity to be an ambassador for the King's Trust. You know, pick a side. You can't elevate and continuously prop up Meghan, America's favorite grifter, but also go and kiss the butt of the king. Pick a side. If I were the King's Trust, I'd say, you know, we're concerned about your, you know, where your, you know, allegiances are.
Indeed. What about Harry? What the hell is he up to? I mean, he'll be quite enjoying his Uncle Andrew's fate because he hates Andrew, and so does William. So they'll both be quite enjoying it. But what actually is Harry doing, if anything at all?
You know, I still am under the impression that he would love to get back in with his father and the royal family because he realizes that he's very limited when it comes to talent and ability. What's he doing right now? I bet you he's petrified of losing his titles because he realizes that Prince William got his way almost when Andrew voluntarily gave up his titles. I think Prince William would have loved for him to be formally stripped of his titles. Mm-hmm. And you know what? Harry, you're next. You are next. You do not behave like a royal. Your wife certainly does not behave like a royal. And your actions still reflect on the British royal family because you refuse to shake off those titles. So I think that Harry's likely pretty nervous about what could come next with Prince William.
So how do you think it'll go down with Meghan on the day that she's told, well, you can no longer call yourself the Duchess of Sussex because your husband isn't the Duke of Sussex? How do you think that?
And how does that even make sense for her Meghan Sussex name now? Yeah. You're Meghan Mountbatten Windsor. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you're Meghan Mountbatten Windsor. You're not Meghan Sussex. How will it go down? I don't know. I mean, maybe I have to send you this. I'm not going to say it on air, but there is a tabloid story that's happening over here about Harry and a certain prescription medication for his hair, and one of the fallouts from it. Okay, like
the fallouts. Is his hair falling out?
Well, his hair
he hasn't got much left to fall out, has he?
Their hair is falling out, but what happens when he takes the pill is.
All right.
It's disappointing.
I think I know what this story's going to be. I know what that story is. I know about that drug, not personally, I should say. One thing, the only thing.
Thank you for clarifying.
The only talent I've got is not losing my hair. Apart from that,
maybe he's Googling. Maybe he's trying to find solutions in that arena. I don't know.
Kinsey, send me that story. I want to read it. And really good to talk to you. We'll talk again on Thursday. Excellent. Thank you so much, Kinsey Schofield. There, host of Kinsey Schofield Unfiltered. Let me know what you think about all of that. Let me know what you think about Prince Andrew. I mean, don't forget, he's now under investigation, or they're calling for him to be under investigation because he told, before his fall from grace, while he was trying to wriggle out of the Virginia Giuffre, Virginia Roberts situation, he got his private his Scotland Yard detective, a police officer of this realm paid by the taxpayer, he got him, or he said, can you investigate this girl, this woman, because I want to get some dirt on him. Now that, you're not allowed to do that to a serving police officer. There's no suggestion that the police in any way obeyed Prince Andrew's request or his instruction, but the fact that he made that instruction, that he said to this serving police officer, can you dig up some dirt on this woman, that's against the law. And so he needs to be, he will soon be, people expect, fully under police investigation. Should he be? And are those MPs right when they say that he should be stripped of the title Prince? You know, a Duke, Prince is higher than a Duke, isn't it? So I think he shouldn't be able to call himself Prince, as well as Duke, as well as Earl, as well as Barony. He's lost all of those titles, but they should be officially taken away from him by an Act of Parliament, and then I think he should be stripped of his right to call himself Prince Andrew. This guy doesn't deserve any of these titles, including Prince, that deserve our respect as positions. He's abused them. They must be taken away from him. That's my view. What do you think? 03444991000. When we come back, your calls, your WhatsApp voice notes and your messages. That next, stay tuned.
I know that newspaper editors have safes full of stuff on him and on Sarah Ferguson. They put money and their pleasure above anything and anyone else, and we're quite happy to agree it. Sarah Ferguson, hello, I know you're convicted of trafficking girls who are about the same age as my daughter, but could I borrow some money off you? Could you give me some money? They've never met a billionaire they didn't like. Yep. Doesn't matter how dodgy they are. I've just got no time for these people.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Let's take your calls. I'll read some messages as we go forward. I just saw a very... This is... Chris says, the monarchy is finished. Within the next 5 years, there will be a deal done with Parliament and the monarchy will retreat to Balmoral with unbelievable financial agreements and constitutional rights and benefits. He goes on to say, the monarchy will become just another aristocratic family cowering in the Balmoral estates after a deal with Parliament, and the Prince and Princess of Wales will divorce. How do you know all this, Chris? Harry will remain irrelevant and mentally messed up in California. The monarchy is finished within 5 years. Gone. Well, I wish you were here, Chris. I'd put you a fair few grand on that you're wrong. And they've been around for centuries to just go just because some idiot like Prince Andrew ruins their reputation, for at least temporarily. It'll take more than some ginger idiot in California to ruin the royal family. So good luck with your Republican instincts, Chris, but it ain't gonna happen. Simple as that. Let's go to Elaine in Rochdale. Hello, Elaine.
Hello, long time no speak.
Yeah, you want to talk about the poppy ban in... it's Hoyland in Barnsley.
Highland, that you near Barnsley, you know where it is. Yeah. I just think it's disgusting. I mean, my dad and my three uncles fought in the Second World War. Luckily, they all came back. You know, obviously I won't be here. My dad.
No, there is that. Yeah.
I was out there because I was born in 1947, so I won't.
Oh, okay, right. I mean, that's the thought. That's the point, isn't it, Elaine? I mean, it's a very sacred thing we do once a year to honour those brave men and women who've made the ultimate sacrifice, laid down their lives for their country.
Laid down their lives for our freedom.
Yeah.
You know, our freedom. And these people come here and they don't like Britain. Why don't they go back where they've come from? You know, don't come here and try and change our values and our way of life. And it's not right.
Well, there's something sort of slightly nuanced about this situation. What it is that, like so many other councils, Hoyland Council has said you can't put up flags, Union Jacks or St George Cross flags.
I've got St George's Day flags in my window.
Well, good for you. But that's why they're saying it. They're saying, well, since we've banned flags from lampposts, we can't allow these poppy displays either. I would just say, well, why can't you? Don't be ridiculous. But seems to be what the situation is, that if they can't have flags, they can't have poppy displays either. Each of these poppies was going to have a name of their, I think it's the 396 heroes from Hoyland who laid down their lives.
Just my dad really now. I don't know what he'd think about this.
Well, that's true. I mean, what about? I mean, there are not that many veterans around from the Second World War anymore. But I mean, what a disgrace! Absolute disgrace. Couldn't agree with you. Couldn't agree with you more, Elaine. And thank you for an excellent call. Keep in touch, Elaine in Rochdale. She's right, isn't she? This is such a shame. I just think Hoyland Council could surely come to some arrangement. All they want to do is put up poppies. Each poppy has the name of one of Hoyland's fallen heroes, one of the former residents of Hoyland who laid down their lives for their country, the ultimate sacrifice. They've always done this down the Armistice Parade route. Put up these poppies, these displays, every poppy a name of a hero. Now, because they banned flags, they banned these poppy displays as well. I think that's very, very sad. Let me know what you think. 03444991000. Let's talk to Chris in Derby. He wants to talk about Maccabi Tel Aviv, who fans have been banned from coming to Aston Villa on November the 6th for their Europa League game. What would you like to say, Chris?
Hi. Is it going to be the case where the national team of Israel are not going to be allowed to play or have their supporters anywhere? That is blatantly anti-Semitic. Kevin, surely in order to support integration and immigration, the asylum seekers should not be loitering around places. They should be supported in their communities and cultures, and they should go to youth clubs. They should go to clubs where they understand.
Asylum seeker clubs.
Sorry?
Asylum seeker clubs.
Yeah, why? Well, you know, they're not. Their clubs are outside.
Well, how many of those kind of places are there? Not many, I would suggest.
None,
well, you know, is it our job to give them clubs?
No, but they have their, they're in the hotels and stuff, so send people in there. So they don't even have to go out and.
Well, I mean, the whole point is, though, Chris, is they're not imprisoned in these hotels. They're free citizens, or they're free to do whatever the hell they like, except for work. They're not allowed to work. Therefore,
and understanding our culture.
Well, I mean, I agree with the fact they can't work, but after that, you've got thousands of young men of military age, if you like, sexually active age, just milling around with nothing but nothing to do. That's not a good situation.
Yeah, I don't like that, Kevin. That is a very poor society. We only have something like 140,000 serving officers in Army, Navy, and
I think it's rather less than that. I think it's about 79,000, isn't it? Something like that.
Oh, is it? Right.
It's very low.
Yeah. We have now. Hitler once said that we're not going to invade England. We have to do it economically. And this is an economic invasion because they are draining the people that have paid their taxes, and it's draining us in every single way, isn't it?
By the way, you were right. I was wrong. I was thinking just of the army. Altogether in our armed forces, there's 181,000 personnel. There's upwards of 100,000 asylum seekers hanging around in hotels, mostly young men. That is not a good situation in schools. The parents are getting increasingly worried about the close proximity of some of these hotels to local schools. That was what was going on in Epping. That's what seems to be going on now down in West Drayton, the protest that we covered. So it's not a good situation. Chris, thank you for a good call. Keep in touch. Chris in Derby there. What do you think about Aston Villa? I mean, people say, it's not Aston Villa's fault. It's not technically their fault, and I know that the club has been put in a difficult position because the West Midland Police, on advice from the council's Safety Advisory Board, have said we can't guarantee the safety of fans attending this game. Well, so Aston Villa can't really overrule them, but I think Aston Villa and Maccabi Tel Aviv should take a stand and say, if our fans can't come, if the fans can't come, we won't play the game. But it would be nice if Prince William said something as well. He's an Aston Villa fan. This is wrong. People should speak out against it. Don't you think? I do. By the way, Harry Cole Saves the West, our programme from America, from Washington, D.C., will be coming up after the 10 o'clock news, after the 10 p.m. Harry Cole Saves the West from 10 p.m. until 11 p.m. Then it's Petri Hoskin will take you through to the small hours to 1 a.m. So much still to come. Why don't we go to break now? When we come back, we'll talk to Ian in London. That next, stay tuned.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Breaking news of a sort, can't quite work it out. Maccabi Tel Aviv fans have stopped selling tickets to their fans for the game on November the 6th in Birmingham against Aston Villa. Well, I thought that had already happened, that the police have banned them from coming. But apparently tickets are no longer being sold. So I suppose that's a step further along the line to these Jewish fans not being allowed to come to Birmingham. The government's trying to overturn this decision by the West Midlands Police and the Birmingham Council Safety Advisory Board because I think the government fears that this decision was anti-Semitic, Jew-hate decision, and it cannot be allowed to stand. I'm with the government on this. Let me know what you think. 0344499 1000. Let's talk to Ian in London. Hello, Ian. You want to talk about Starmer?
Yeah, well, I think it's very funny how certain things... I'd love to have been a fly on the wall at that CST meeting when it came out about the news, about the Villa game, that he would then turn around to Mahmood and she would have turned around to him and said, "Oh, I'm sorry, Keir. Yeah, I let it get done." What do you mean?
Well, she knew about it a week before. I don't think, She won't be able to influence a decision by the West Midlands Police and the Birmingham Council Safety Advisory Board, but she did know about it a week in advance.
That's right. But the funny thing is, can you imagine? He must probably thought he'd scored a goal, because what was the next day? Andrew's resigning from. Oh, he's going to get me out of trouble. I won't have to speak about Aston Villa because the papers will be full of Andrew. And even better still, I can cop off to COP30 in Brazil.
Well, he's going there, and he's 9,000 miles are going to fire along with about 450 British delegates and that idiot Ed Miliband. So they're going to go and destroy the planet as usual at those ludicrous COP events. But yeah, he's off. Starmer's off there. No big surprise there. He went to the last one in Azerbaijan at Baku. So what do you expect? I'm not surprised he's going. You say, I'm not sure how much the government are on the hook here. I mean, the government didn't have anything to do with the decision to ban the Jewish fans. That was West Midland Police and the Birmingham Council Safety Advisory Board.
But supposedly it's down to finance, which Nandi has now said they're going to find the money to support it, that they can actually do.
Well, that didn't come out last week, did it? They just said the West Midlands Police just said we can't guarantee the fans' safety. They didn't say we can't afford to police this properly. They didn't say that. So that's a new element that's emerging.
Yeah. But I've got a funny feeling, to be honest, Kevin, it won't get changed. I've got a horrible feeling it won't get changed, and then you'll have the MPs that sort of like, as you say, the one that basically, I don't even know why he's an MP in this Parliament with Sultana and all the others, because they're supporting other
Ya'ub Khan, yeah. the local MP. I mean, that guy's jumping up. That's brilliant. I mean, it's all about violence and football hooliganism. I don't trust him. I think there's a lot more to it. He's a Muslim. He doesn't like Israel. I think it's as simple as that. And there's definitely this element that there's a sort of anti-Semitic thing. And what I want to know about the petition that Ya'ub Khan got up, why is Jeremy Corbyn's name at the top of it? Why did he get this petition up? I've never known Jeremy Corbyn to be remotely interested in soccer hooliganism. Suddenly, it's the burning issue. Gee, wonder why he's involved. If it's anti-Jews, anti-Israel, Jeremy Corbyn is always there. Ian, good call. Thanks for ringing, mate. Ian in London. Let's go to Jim in Romford in East London. Hello, Jim. What would you like to say?
Hello, Kev.
All right, mate.
The royal family.
Yep.
I think since the Queen died, things have gone downhill.
It looks that way, doesn't it? But I think there was a head of steam before she died. But yeah, there is this sense that since Her Majesty, her late great Majesty, passed away more than 3 years ago now, that the royal family has looked a bit rudderless and a bit of a mess, to be honest with you.
Well, I think that William should take charge say to his dad, look, Dad, I know you're not very well. I will take charge. I will sort out the two princes.
What do you think Charles is going to say to that, Jim? The guy waited his entire life to become the king. He's not going to give it up. He's not going to give it up, is he?
He will go ballistic.
Yeah, so he won't do it. He doesn't have to do it. He's the king and William isn't.
He don't. But I think you've got to face reality.
Yeah, but he won't. He won't. He will stay as the king. He will not give up the throne.
I know, but he hasn't. He's got to do something about the princes. Strip them of everything, and William will do it.
I agree with you. I don't know, but I don't really care that much about Harry. I'm not sure he's committed enough terrible sins to be stripped of his titles yet. Although I think William.
Well, it's her, isn't it?
Meghan. Yeah, but I think
he's using the HRH, which the Queen said no.
Yeah, I know, but I don't really care that much about them. I think that. Andrew, though, deserves his fate, but I think we need to pass an act of Parliament to take his titles away so he officially doesn't have them anymore. Because officially, he still is, right now, the Duke of York, the Earl of Inverness, and Barony Killeaya in Northern Ireland. So he's still got those titles. He's just agreed not to use them. So I think we should pass an act of Parliament that would actually take those titles away from him, and I think we should stop him being able to call himself Prince Andrew. He should just be Andrew Windsor. Why should he have this title? Why should he have a title that warrants respect when we don't respect him? Yes.
Yeah, and I think the same for Harry, because Meghan's still using the HRH.
Yeah. Well, I'm no defender of Harry, but his sins have not been quite as horrific as Andrew's. It's as simple as that. And she wants to go around using HRH. You know, I mean, she won't be able to do it for long. If it makes her happy, what the hell?
When William gets in charge, he'll
take them away. I agree. That's it. When William takes over, ascends to the throne, he'll take away Harry's titles. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And not a moment too soon, as far as I'm concerned. Jim, good call. Let's very quickly talk to Roy in Hampshire. Hello, Roy.
Hi, me old kid.
Yeah, haven't got long. Go on. What would you like to say, Heathrow?
No, it's just I rang you up earlier, mate, when you were talking about the Holiday Inn. When they built that, there was a 9-hole golf course at the back of that.
Oh, was there?
Yeah, I don't know if
it's a huge hotel. Everybody who drives down the M4 can see it. And as I say, all of the migrants who are living there come underneath this underpass. They go to this local school, Cherry Lane School, primary school, and the parents are very, very worried. Roy, I've got to go. The show's nearly over. Give me a call tomorrow. Roy in Hampshire there. And that's the end of the show. Harry Cole Saves the West is next. In the meantime, I've been Kevin O'Sullivan. You've been an amazing audience. I'm going to be back tomorrow, same time, same place, right here on Talk at 7 p.m. for another edition of the Political Asylum. I fully expect, in fact, demand you be there.
I know that newspaper editors have safes full of stuff on him and on Sarah Ferguson. They put money and their pleasure above anything and anyone else, and we're quite happy to agree. Sarah Ferguson, hello, I know you're convicted of trafficking girls who are about the same age as my daughter.